Hi, I'm Danielle, and this is Chatter Out Loud, a podcast where I share thoughts and TV commentary, starting with one of my favorite shows, Big Brother. In this episode, I'm chatting about Celebrity Big Brother Season 3, Episode 3, Eviction Night. So first, this is the third night in a row for me with my recap. I'm so proud of myself, but I have to admit I'm a little tired. This is hard, you guys. I don't know, or I give props to all the podcasters and YouTubers that do this for a living and are able to get online every night. This is tough. 3 nights in a row for me. I think that might be a record. Yeah. But anyway, I'm doing my best. I'm really making an attempt to keep it up. So keep the positive vibes coming my way. And I'm going to continue to try. Okay. So tonight we picked up from nominations. There was a power of veto, a live eviction. But before that, the house guests was in the house more than 8 to 9 days, I think. The live feeds, came on last night. I don't know what kind of schedule they were having, but apparently they came on last night from what I understand. Earlier today, I watched a little bit of the live feeds, trying to just fast forward to points where I see, conversations or some type of conflict or something like that. And I did that in an effort to just catch up and just to understand some of the things that we saw in the first or in the last episode, right? Because up to now, we've only gotten a recorded, well, when they aired on CBS, it's recorded. But prior to last night, we didn't have any visibility into what was going on in the house because the live feeds weren't on. So anyway, earlier today, I tried to catch up with some of the live feeds. So I have notes on that. And then by viewing the live feeds, I have to admit one thing. I was wrong about something. I'm trying to come to terms with it. But I'll talk about that a little later. So let's get into it. First, Mariah's reaction when she was nominated, to me, it was a little strange. She kept clapping and then she kept saying, LOL, LOL, LOL. And I just think that was like just a nervous tick, maybe. But I found that to be a little odd. Anyway, surprisingly, SNL Chris consoled her. And I thought they had a good moment, because she was down about being nominated. It's not fun being nominated. So she was a little upset. And he consoled her. So that was nice to see. We saw that Misha and Todrick, they don't really trust sharing information in front of Cynthia. With good reason. The way Cynthia just spilled, when Mariah came up to her and asked, hey, are you in an alliance? She's like, yeah, I'm in an alliance with this person, just naming names. And just because she was whispering, she thought Cynthia, I just can't. One thing to remember that Todrick is all over the house. He's in all the alliances. Everyone approached him. So that began, that was his behavior in the house, I guess. Not his behavior, but, well, let me start over. Sorry. I wanted to point out that Todrick is in all the alliances because people have come to him, right? And so he has information. He's in everyone's ear. And to me, as a game player, I think he's in a good spot. Okay. With that said, there are suspicions on the formation, and the formation alliance is Carson, Cynthia, Shayna, Mariah, Todrick, and I think I'm missing someone. Yeah, I think those are the people in the formation. Is that right? Yeah, Mariah. And Teddy. Sorry, Mariah, Teddy, Carson, Cynthia, Shayna, and Todrick. They were in the alliance that was named Formation. And as Carson and Teddy began to talk, they were like, I'm suspicious of who is leaking information to Misha, right? And they were thinking that it was Mariah, right? So, of course, that's why Mariah became a target, and they were working to try to get her out. All right. I should note that the house right now is divided. There's two big alliances, the formation I just named, which is Mariah, Teddy, Carson, Cynthia, Shayna, and Todrick. And then there is the other alliance named the Athletes, and that's with Misha, Lamar, NSYNC Chris, and Todrick. And then they're using Mariah. So the house is clearly divided, and that's how they're moving. So Todrick is in the middle of everything. He gets information from the formation. He gets information from the athletes. He's planting seeds. So he's just all over the place. Oh, and I wanted to make a sidebar real quick. They showed, all of the house guests works out and stuff like that. And they show them when they're in that the little gym that they have. When they showed Misha's workout routine, I found that to be so interesting. And NSYNC Chris was just like, he was just, he kind of mentioned like, oh my God, he was fanning out. He's like, oh, Misha Cupcake Tate is right in front of him working out. And she was punching on that mat. I don't know what is that supposed to do? Like the mat, is that like some type of resistance training, or? She just kept pounding the mat. I don't know what that's supposed to do. So someone has to leave me a comment to let me know. Like, as a fighter, why do you have to punch the mat like that? Is that just to build endurance and stuff? I usually see fighters with that big bag, that hangs from the ceiling, the punching bag, and they do it that way. But she had the mat. She was on the mat on the floor and just was pounding on it. But I don't know. That girl is in shape. Anyway. So going back, so right now we know that Mariah and Carson are on the block, right? So we pick up from there. Of course, the power of veto was played. First, they picked the veto players, and the veto players were Misha, Mariah, Carson. Cynthia's chip was selected. Lamar's chip was selected. Mariah, was it Lamar? Yeah, Mariah had a house guest choice, and she selected Todrick. So to me, that was kind of telling, right? Because is she supposed to be in one alliance or the other, right? So it was just telling that she selected Todrick, So I just... They didn't really play up on it in the episode, but I know all the other house guests, especially the ones in the formation, they saw that. And I know they're going to operate with that information. Todrick, like I said, he's all over the house. He started to plant seeds to get Carson out. He was telling Misha, Carson's liked by everyone, and he's the type that can win the game, and anyone who sits next to him will lose. So he was planting those seeds, and it worked, right? It really worked. So we thought it worked. Well, it worked because Misha bought into it, right? So she's looking at him now, and eventually Carson is going to be a target later on in the game for Misha and Todrick. And if Todrick has his way, everyone else will do his dirty work for him. That's what it's looking like. All right, so the veto game was called Schedule Snafu. And it was about an assistant getting clues mixed up, or an assistant giving them clues about their schedule during the day. And of course, it was kind of cute. The assistant was terrible. She didn't really take a full note. And so she was giving them clues. And the game was trying to figure out the clue and decide what time they were going to what place. So they had to put the clocks in front of each place, right? So it was a little town. They had different, like they had a Pilates place, they had a food place, and all of that. And so the assistant gave them like half clues, and they had to figure out where they were going at what time. And the fastest person who figured out that puzzle won. Carson winds up winning the power of veto. I was surprised because he had the fastest time. And his reaction when he learned that he won was it was so great. He jumped up and did his little dance. It was just funny. But anyway, Carson won. So since he's on the block, of course he's going to use it on himself to take himself down, which means that immediately changes Misha's plan because, of course, he's taking himself down. So now she has to replace him. Let's see. Oh, and like I said, Todrick's planting the seed in terms of getting Carson out, but that's a longer term. Now they no longer have Carson as an option to get out, at least not this week, because he won the veto. All right, so Shayna, surprisingly, she's playing the game, and she's getting kind of, not ugly, she's getting kind of dirty with the game. She went up there because she was so paranoid that she could potentially be a replacement nominee. So she went up there talking to Misha, tried to make a deal, gave her some information, and it worked because it kept her safe. So I don't know. I respect that. The girl saved herself. She's moving forward. She's playing the game. She does know the game. I think I said that last episode. She really knows the game. All right. At this point in the game, one of the thoughts I have is that, again, I'm going to keep mentioning this the entire episode. Todrick is all over the house. I think he has a lot of influence over the game right now. There was a quick moment where Mariah and Lamar had a bonding moment. They had a brief discussion on race and being an athlete and you know, where they live and stuff like that. So I thought that was a genuine conversation. I liked it. I also thought that was a way of Mariah kind of solidifying a vote from Lamar, right? It's a good social play. So Mariah, she had me worried with the way she was running around saying, hey, you want to be in an alliance? And just telling stuff all. I mean, I thought, I'm like, she doesn't know what she's doing. And then in one of her interviews before they came in the house, they asked her something like, who's your favorite player? And she named Meta World Peace. I'm like, what? That was her favorite player. Like other people were naming like Dan Giesling or Derek, players we know and respect the game. And she said Meta World Peace. Now, I remember him being in the house, but I don't remember him having that good of a gameplay where it's memorable, right? It just was odd to me that she chose him. She probably chose him because she's an athlete. But anyway, I was worried about Mariah and how she was playing. And tonight, especially when she had that conversation with Lamar, I thought, way to go. That's a good social play. So I have respect for that. I can say that I really appreciate the way Teddy fought to stay in the house. I mean, she campaigned hard. She was all over people. She was like, well, don't lie to me. Don't tell me, and she was making her case. I thought that was a good move on her part. She could have changed people's minds. But the odds weren't in her favor because they wanted her out. And unfortunately, because she was in that other alliance, they were really trying to weaken the athletes alliance. Really chose to or targeting Teddy, right? Because now Mariah, it's Carson and let me. What is going on? I'm telling you guys, I'm tired. All right, since Carson is removing himself off the block, right? The idea was, who would they replace? Carson. Who would replace Carson? And if you remember in the last episode, Teddy and Misha had a conversation where they weren't going to put each other up on the block, right? And I questioned, well, how long is this going to happen? like how long is this deal for? Because it's only 3 weeks of gameplay and 2 evictions a week. Like, how long will this happen? So Misha would agree not to put Teddy up, and Teddy says, I won't put you up. Like, what if she never wins the HOH? And things change every minute in that house. So I question that deal anyway. So Teddy, knowing that she could potentially be a replacement nominee, she was campaigning all over the house, trying to make sure, people won't vote her out, or that she was trying to get their vote. Did I miss? Let me see. I'm going so fast through this. I must have, I think I missed saying that Teddy replaced Carson. I think I missed that. Okay. I am all over the place. All right. So Carson won the POV. Todrick is all over the house. Yeah, I can't remember, but I'll say it now. If I didn't say it before, once Carson took himself off of the block, the replacement was Teddy. And while they were trying to plan who was the replacement person going to be, Teddy was like trying to keep herself in out of harm's way. And once she was nominated, she did campaign all through the house to try to get people to vote for her to stay. Right? She went to Misha and said, hey, this is not right. Because Misha, as a courtesy, Misha reached out to Teddy and said, I just want to give you a heads up. And I thought that was cool. That was, I don't know. Not everybody, people like to do the blind side. And she was honestly trying not to blindside Teddy. So she pulled her in the room and said, hey, I'm going to give you a heads up. I'm going to have to do this. I'm sorry. And Teddy was upset, but she really campaigned to stay. And I like that. She just didn't give up. All right. Okay. So, we found out the curse, remember, because that Mon Juan hat purse, or purse as a hat, that was both a blessing and a curse. We found out the blessing was the last person who had the hat would be safe for the week, and they couldn't be nominated, and so they were safe. We were going to find out what the curse was tonight, and the curse was right in front of us all the time. When you turn that patch, Julie had Cynthia take the Mon Juan logo, was Velcro on the hat, and she had Cynthia take it off, turn it upside down, and then it says "Nom now." So that was like a clue. And ultimately, the curse is that Cynthia would hand the bag or start the rotation, similar to how they started when they were passing around the bag. She would start off, she'd give a person the bag, and the last person who would end up I'm so tired. Okay. She would start off, she would give someone the bag. That person would give it to someone else. That person would give it to someone else. And the last person that ended up with the bag would be nominated. And so they not only had to, they would be nominated, and they would be responsible for removing one of the 2 nominees, right? So they passed the hat around again. The last person to get the hat will replace one of the nominees. And in a surprising twist of events, Todd Bridges, he gets the bag last and ends up on the block. He removes Mariah, and both he and Teddy are now the nominees. And one thing I wanted to share, and I want to get my notes for a second. When I was going through the live feeds earlier, based on the live feeds, I wanted to say a few things. First of all, the very first alliance that was created, Girls and Gays Alliance, that's dead. That's over. At least Todrick is out of that one. I saw that Cynthia straight up lied when she was trying to tell her alliance team members that she didn't speak their names or didn't tell the names. And that was one of the controversies that I saw. So Todrick was going around the house saying, or trying to defend why he went to the other side. And to me, he did too much defending. I think people, they want the best of both worlds, right? They want to make these moves and betray people, right? And scheme. And then when someone calls them out, they want to say, well, this is why, and give all these reasons. And I felt like that's what Todrick was doing. Well, anyway, when Cynthia was trying to talk with her Alliance team member, she says, I didn't say any names and stuff. And that was one of the reasons Todrick said he's no longer comfortable in that alliance, because Cynthia was just spilling everything. And so that was one thing that I saw. The formation, that alliance is dead and over. Todrick he selected a side, and that side was Misha's alliance, the Athletes Alliance. And from Todrick's point of view, he really did need to make a decision. He had everyone come to him, right? Everyone liked him, everyone came to him, but he really needed to make a choice of which side he was going to be on, because it's hard to be in the middle and juggle both. You know, you got to remember lies you tell and stuff like that. It just was a bit much, and I don't think he would have sustained trying to go back and forth, right? Plus, the formation alliance members were now confronting him and calling him out, so he had to make a choice. All right, it's no longer, I put this as a spoiler, but it's not a spoiler anymore because the episode aired. I put that Teddy was the replacement nominee. Okay. The house is divided. Like I said, we have the Athletes Alliance, and then there's the Formation Alliance, minus Todrick. And then, this is the one thing I wanted to point out, because I think I want to point this out. I think there's something brewing between Todd Bridges and SNL Chris. I don't think they like each other. I think it may have stemmed from how SNL Chris is annoyed because he's in the same room with Todd Bridges and Todd snores. I mean, they had a little segment where they actually showed how annoyed SNL Chris was because Todd Bridges snores so loudly. But they don't like each other. And the reason, I guess the reason I'm bringing that up is because when they were passing around that Mon Juan bag, SNL Chris had to give there were two people left that was getting the bag. SNL Chris, he could choose Lamar or Todd Bridges. And once I saw those were the last two people left, I knew he was going to give it to Lamar because he wanted Todd Bridges to go on the block. So something's brewing there. I hope maybe we'll see more in the live feeds, the days to come, who knows. But they don't like each other. And it was funny because after Teddy left the house, they hugged each other, and Todd Bridges, trying to make people feel comfortable. He strikes me as the type to make others feel comfortable. He was like, no, I get it. I understand. No, you don't. What I do hope this does in terms of Todd Bridges getting the bag last and being a replacement nominee, I do hope that this wakes him up. And again, I'm getting ahead of myself because I guess I could tell you that Teddy was voted out. My order tonight is all out of whack. My apologies. But the important thing to note is that Todd Bridges and SNL Chris, I don't think they like each other. When they were passing around that bag, SNL Chris gave the bag to Lamar, leaving Todd Bridges the last one. So that made him the nominee. Todd removed Mariah off of the block. And so it ended up with both Todd Bridges and Teddy Mellencamp, the two nominees on the block. And that's the house guests would vote out one of the two. All right. In the end, Teddy was voted out. The people that voted out Teddy, listen to this. Shayna, who's part of the Formation Alliance, right? In her alliance. Todrick, who's part of that Formation Alliance. Mariah, who is part of that Formation Alliance. They voted her out. So it was 5-3, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, it was 5-3 Teddy left. So the Athletes Alliance won this round. Teddy's out. Right now they have the upper hand, right? Because now the formation is shook. They look surprised. Cynthia looks confused. Whatever. Okay. One of the funniest comments I heard in tonight's episode was after they revealed that Teddy was voted out, she left and Lamar Odom yelled, "No crying." Because a couple of the girls, they were like, oh, Cynthia looked like she was going to cry. Shayna was beginning to cry. But Lamar is like, no crying. So that was funny. During Teddy's exit interview with Julie, she mentioned that she can leave and go home and look her kids in the eye to say that she not only played her best, but she played with integrity. And that always cracks me up. When any house guest that's being voted out, they always come up with, I played with integrity. And it's just so disingenuous. Because the game is about deceit. You scheme, you plan, you strategize, you lie. Like, so the whole I played with integrity, it comes across as disingenuous. And I'd hoped, I don't know, maybe that's what they feel like they have to say in the moment. Whatever. All right. So back to what I wanted to admit. I mentioned earlier when I first started, there was something that I had to come to terms with and I had to admit. Based on the short period of time that I scanned those live feeds, you guys, I have to admit, the way Todrick has been all over that house and talking and explaining and talking and explaining and talking and explaining, it does give a Frenchie vibe. Oh, I have to admit it. That's all over my timeline. I see that. I watch other Big Brother YouTubers. I heard a couple of them mention it. It is giving a Frenchie vibe. Now, we all remember Frenchie, right? In Big Brother 28. He ran around that house. He was so erratic. He just was planning and he had all these alliances. He was so nuts in the first couple of weeks. He just was unbelievable. Now, I don't think Todrick is as erratic as Frenchie was, but it does give a Frenchie vibe. And I really had to admit that to myself. I see it. I understand what others are saying and or what others see. I understand what they're saying. And I have to agree. It's giving that Frenchie vibe. And I hope he tones it down. I mean, I don't think he can sustain that either. It's gonna be a bit much, but it does give that Frenchie vibe. And if he doesn't tone this down and get this under control, this behavior is gonna mess with his likability factor. Not only outside the house, because no one likes him anyway, outside the house or online, but inside. And he's gonna get voted out of there. I mean, he was explaining, I need this money and this will fund my career and I feel betrayed. And this is, just explaining why he's doing it, defending it and just giving information in terms of trying to, people didn't even ask. Some people didn't even know he was betraying. He just was all over the place. And I'm like, no, Todrick, no. So I hope he takes a breath, calms down a little bit, and then regroups and, strategizes and get it together. I think him choosing Misha, it could be or not only Misha, because he has a crush on Misha, but I think that's a good move. Specifically, the move that he's in that alliance. So I think he's in a good spot. Being in an alliance with Cynthia, really? Like, I don't know. Carson is likable too. Mariah, I think Todrick made the right choice in terms of choosing to be on the athletes' side, the athletics. What is the name of their alliance? Athletes Alliance or Athletics Alliance. I think that's the right move for him. But he needs to calm down. He's looking kind of crazy. All right. So it was a good episode tonight. I love the twist. The Mon Wan bag, turn it upside down is Nom Now. And the way they were like, Mon Wan. Carson, the way he's like, Mon Juan. I don't know. I love Carson in this. He's making me laugh. I like it. I love the alliances. I love how the house is divided. Athletes in the formation. Right now, I see the floaters as SNL Chris and Todd Bridges. So far, to me, it's a good game. I like it. I'm going to watch a little more of the live feeds tonight, and hopefully I'll learn more. Yeah. And so that's all I have. So be sure to come back and give me a listen. Give me a follow, subscribe, leave me a comment, leave me a message. You can find me by looking for Chatter Out Loud. I have this podcast, I tweet, I'm on YouTube. So look for Chatter Out Loud and you'll find me. I also have links to where you can find me in the description, so check that out. All right, so my name is Danielle and you're listening to my podcast, Chatter Out Loud. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, I appreciate your support. And that's all I have. Thanks again for listening, and I'll talk to you next time.